DigitalHealth.London is an accelerator programme that supports some of the best and highest potential digital transformations that can transform and support the NHS. Now in its 7th year, it remains sector leading and highly competitive. I'm Sarah Nelson and I'm the Programme Director for DigitalHealth.London. I am immensely proud of the impact and transformation that many of our companies and the NHS organisations as well that we've worked with over the past 5 years have achieved. To date, the Accelerator has supported 143 innovative digital health companies, including Puma, Pepi, Patchwork Health, Echo, AccuRx, and HN, and others you'll hear from today. Whilst on the programme, 87% of the companies have demonstrated growth, over 600 additional contracts have been signed, and more than 3,500 new pilots have been secured during the Accelerator support. The programme was also named Accelerator of the Year at the UK BAA Angel Investment Awards in 2022. Our health and care system is currently facing some of the biggest challenges it's ever faced, such as supporting workforce, addressing health inequalities, and also delivering the net zero for the NHS. Digital innovations are and will continue to be a vital tool in tackling these challenges. The Accelerator programme works with up to 20 digital health companies over a 12-month period, giving bespoke support and advice, a programme of expert-led workshops and events, and brokering the meaningful conversations and connections between innovators and NHS organisations, those with specific challenges that you can offer support for. The companies that are successful in getting onto the Accelerator programmes are chosen through rigorous and highly competitive selection process, involving both expert NHS and industry panel assessments, interviews, and due diligence checks. Companies that are successful in gaining a place on the programme usually have a product or service that has already been piloted in the NHS and is ready to scale. Throughout the 12 months, the programme focuses on engagement with different elements of the health and care system. We are open for applications for the 2023-24 Accelerator. We're looking for the next generation of digital health innovations that can support our NHS to recover and help patients to better self-manage their own health. Applications are open now and close on the 3rd of April at 11:59 p.m. Today we're going to be discussing the programme to help you decide if it's the right DigitalHealth.London Accelerator for you, and if it's the right programme at the right time for you, for your business, and if it is, then I really do encourage you to apply. We'll be hearing from an alumnus on the programme about their experience, as well as one of our NHS navigators, who, as a key member of the team, supports the companies on the programme. We're going to have some time for questions afterwards. First of all, I'm going to hand over to Lewis. Lewis is one of our NHS navigators, and he's going to talk a little bit more about the support that we provide to you as part of the programme. Lewis.
Thanks very much, Sarah, and welcome everyone. So I'm Lewis, an NHS navigator with DigitalHealth.London. I'm a physiotherapist by training, and I've worked in lots of different areas in the NHS and wider healthcare. I was also a co-founder of a digital health company, and with that company, I was actually on the Accelerator program, and I loved it so much that I joined DigitalHealth.London as a navigator and supported the last cohort of companies. The navigator team generally has about 4 to 5 members. All of the team have significant experience within healthcare, particularly digital health, and have a diverse background, with some being clinical, for example, nurses and therapists, and other having a more health management background. What we all share is lots of experience in digital healthcare and a strong desire to see great innovations transform healthcare and the way that it's delivered. So today I want to quickly discuss what the role of the NHS Navigator is on the Accelerator program. It's a hugely important role, I guess I would say that, and your navigator will be your closest contact on the program. Each company will be assigned a navigator who will work with them and a few other companies as well. The navigator's role is to work closely with companies to get a deep understanding of the problem that they're tackling and their solution to the problem, and use their knowledge of digital innovation to create a bespoke action plan to help accelerate the company's NHS journey. The navigators provide expert advice to their companies and also draw on the diverse expertise of the entire Navigator and wider DigitalHealth.London team. We'll regularly meet with you and your team to ensure that we're working on the right priorities, and will facilitate meetings with senior members of the DigitalHealth.London team and of our delivery partners. There are lots of fantastic innovations in healthcare which can make a difference to the lives of patients and staff. However, the NHS is complex, and understanding how your innovation can fit smoothly into the NHS whilst providing the benefits to patients and staff in a cost-effective manner is a complex undertaking. And with our experience in supporting innovation in the NHS and knowing what the priorities are at any given moment, we can act as a sort of critical friend to you and challenge your assumptions to assure that you're delivering a product and a process that the NHS will find valuable. Through our networks, we're able to facilitate connections with the right people and act as an honest and trusted broker between companies and organisations that are looking for innovation. We also have experience in areas like evidence generation, refining your value proposition, how to speak to the NHS, and how the NHS is structured, amongst a lot of other topics. And where we don't have the expertise, we also have links with many other organisations such as universities, investment hubs, regulatory bodies, and funding organisations. The NHS, and for that matter, health systems worldwide, are complex, and they're rightly heavily regulated, which means that it can be quite difficult and time-consuming to break into and scale. I don't make any bones about that. However, the opportunities and rewards for those who get it right are huge, and we truly believe that the Navigator team and the DigitalHealth.London team can really help you on this journey. We live, as Sarah was saying, we live in a world where health needs are changing and the old models of care are increasingly in need of updating, whether it be supporting patients to self-manage more, supporting staff and their training, automating processes that free up time, or dealing with the many other challenges that the NHS is facing. Quality digital innovation is imperative to ensure that the health system remains fit for purpose. We also really want to ensure that London is and remains to be a centre for digital innovation and economic growth more broadly, and we'd love for your companies to be part of that. Look, thanks for taking the time to come on the call today, and that was just a very brief introduction into the role of the Navigator on the Accelerator. I really look forward to seeing your applications and working with at least some of you. But now I'd like to introduce Tiba Rao from Soar Beyond, who are one of our fantastic Accelerator alumni companies and who I had the great pleasure of being a navigator for. Tiba will be providing an overview of her experience on the program. And over to you, Tiba.
Thanks so much. Thanks for asking me to join you today. I remember being in exactly your same position and joining this webinar thinking, do I really want to apply for this program? Is it going to have any benefit? Have I really got the time to fill out an application form and go through this rigorous process? Do I stand a chance? We're not a digital tech company. Is it really the right program for us? So I guess why I was really pleased to be invited to speak on here today is that I'm the world's biggest advocate of this program, having gone through it. And I really feel like it needs to be known and it needs to be promoted amongst digital tech innovators like yourselves. It is the top accelerator program, and it's been voted so. And if, like me, you didn't really know what to expect from an accelerator program, I'm hoping to give you a bit of a complexion on what we gained from it, what it actually felt like as a company who's part of the program. So that's me. Let me tell you a little bit about ourselves and our journey. So Soar Beyond is the company. We've been going for 16 years now. So unlike a lot of the companies who are on the program, there's a real wide diversity of them. There are some who are big companies who have been, really huge in the States and are coming over here and looking to scale up into the NHS. There are small startups, and there are companies like ourselves who've been going for a long time and have accidentally, inadvertently ended up in tech and are trying to work out how we navigate our way through. So the beauty of the program is you don't have to navigate it yourself. You have navigators like Lewis and Yasmin who really help you as you go through the program. So if I tell you a little bit about what it looks like from a sort of day-to-day doing for the 12 months of the program, and then I'll describe to you some of the outcomes that we've had as a result of the program. So as well as the rigorous process that Sarah said, so there's a form you have to fill in. That form really challenges you in terms of how you articulate yourself. And that in itself is quite a useful exercise. So if you are worried about trying to find the time to fill out one of these application forms, I think that's a really good thing for you to do. If you are then successful, you go to an interview panel and you get a grilling. But it's a good, healthy grilling because you need to be able to articulate the benefits. And then what the program actually looks like. So we had an onboarding of, I think it was a full day, it might have been 2 days onboarding, but it was virtual at the time. This is sort of January last year. And that was great. Some of the things that we had to do, which was really uncomfortable, was an elevator pitch in a 1 minute, 60 seconds, really tight on time, but it was great because we were hearing other people's elevator pitches and learning how they articulate. So just some of those things, when I look back, and they were really pivotal, I think, in terms of how you articulate what you do. And again, the feedback you're getting from all the NHS participants is really important. And then what you end up doing really is getting a bit of a plan in place around where you are as a business, what you're hoping to get out of the program, and you meet with your navigator. So it started off with Yasmin and then Lewis every week. And you dedicate that time, and it's great because it's protected time. And myself and one colleague, so another director, joined, and we were trying to make this something that we both attended every week. It was only an hour's meeting. There was some pre-work, there was some post-work that we'd end up doing, homework. But you know what? If it's important enough for you to scale up, you're going to be dedicating that time anyway. But this way, you have the structure to do it, and you have a bit of focus around what you're trying to do. So that's kind of how it sort of panned out from a week-to-week basis. And then you'd get some meetings organised, because the navigators are your biggest advocates and champions, and they're often selling for you, which is great. So they're kind of, honest brokers, I think Lewis said, but when they're conveying your value, it's so much more credible and so much more powerful than if we were doing it and trying to just cold call somebody. And I can't emphasize enough the caliber of the people and the level of customers, connections, collaborators that you will end up meeting and encountering on this program. Commercial directors from the HSNs, key clinicians, CNIOs. It's actually a great watering hole to meet some of these guys. And again, the very fact that you're on this program gives you that enhanced credibility as part of it. And that credibility, we leverage that credibility from day one. There's a comms campaign that you get once you join, and we promoted that really heavily. We were in Health Tech News, we were, and we still do talk about on our pitches, even though we're alumni now, about the fact that Smart Workforce Tool, which is our digital tool, has been was selected as one of the top 21 digital solutions as part of DigitalHealth.London. So we're still wearing that badge with pride. It's credibility that is earned and it's recognised as being part of an accelerator programme in the NHS. And that's something I don't think I fully appreciated it until I got here and got on the programme. So that's kind of what it looks like day to day. But the best bit is you then get your quarterly face-to-face meetings. They're always somewhere really lovely. I hope that continues. We've been at Guy's and Tommy's. we were at the Microsoft Paddington offices, which was pretty awesome as well. So that's really amazing for content, but also networking with your fellow companies and also with your with the customers. They even kind of do networking sessions for you, so you can kind of see the people who are going to be speaking or attending, and pre-book meetings. So that's the kind of stuff that you can't really put a value on, and I found that really helpful. We'd leave with a whole load of leads from every meeting that we'd have to go away and follow up, or our navigators would go and do that for us. So that was really powerful and really helped us. So I think that's probably all I've got in terms of a description of the program. Oh, it all culminated in an awards towards the end of last year as well, which was again really well attended. There were some very high-flying people, I think, head of what was NHS Digital, you know, MedCity, people like this. They'll help you with your whole bespoke journey, and I think that's really important. Some people were looking for funding, some people were looking for support with, you know, evidence gen or whatever it is. So different companies are on a different trajectory, but it's very bespoke to your needs. And I think that's really something that I'd like to convey, because you might be like I was and go, oh, but we're not one of those big companies, we don't qualify for this, surely. But that's really nice about it, is the diversity. So I think that's all I've got to say in terms of what the program's day-to-day look like. And then what I'd like to talk to you about is the outcomes that we've had as a result of being on the program, because that's what it's all boils down to. So when someone says to me, was it worth it? And you know what, I was getting asked this question in the business all the time. Like, oh, you know, spending so much time on this DHL program, and, you know, is it a distraction? Is it this? And I was really fully able to justify it. And now I've got the evidence and the outcomes to show. So the first bit, there's kind of 3 A's: alignment, ambition, and acceleration. Those are the 3 things that I've kind of summed it down to. So alignment. So for us, our solutions, a digital solution that came about from our own experience of working with GP clinical pharmacists and having to support them to work to the top of their license. That's what it was when we invented it around 2019. And as we got to scale up, we'd already got to the stage where any role, and clerical and non-clerical, could use it within the NHS. And we were kind of articulating it and as a sort of digital competence tool. And we had a particular business model. And that alignment piece was really important. We worked quite a lot in the first quarter around the value proposition and what does it actually look like, and who would the target customers and who would it resonate with. So there were, you know, workshops, some really great interactive workshops. I remember one in particular with UCLP, where it really gets you to challenge that. Actually, in one of our quarterly meetings, one of the commercial directors, Anna King from the Hin, she actually challenged us around our business model to think about pivoting to a transformation model. And that's exactly what we did. And that was quite early on in our journey. And that was really fundamental for us. Because we changed how we articulated our solution. And I think that, I don't know where we would be actually this time, as of, you know, March 2023, if we hadn't had that input. We might have still been floundering, we might have still been trying to navigate, we might have got disenfranchised with working with the NHS, quite frankly. But because we had that alignment with our value proposition, it really helped. So we could articulate what we were doing better. There's also a really big focus on evidence gen. Now, we're a workforce tool, you know, what's the evidence then? It's not like a clinical tool. So I didn't really, prior to joining this program, think that evidence gen was possibly that important for us. But actually, the evidence around, they teach you around all the different tiers of evidence, again, workshops and webinars and things. But actually, the evidence around the cashable savings or the benefits realization, you still need to evidence that. So that was really powerful for us, to the point where we have NIHR support now. That's one of our outcomes for a big national program around cholesterol management, for example. And that's something that came directly from this program. We wouldn't probably have really fully understood what NIHR did or how we would qualify for those conversations. So there's a funding bid going in as we speak for that, which is amazing. So the alignment piece is really important. The other bit around alignment was the comms support that you get. Now, that was really powerful. The team behind the scenes, they are superb at helping you with your sort of comms and articulation. They even reviewed our websites. They reviewed some of our materials, came to some of our pitch prep, which is stuff, again, that you couldn't really, and that pitch prep was, you know, with, again, really commercial senior people within the NHS. So that kind of pitch involvement was really good. So we were always having that benefit. So even small things like social media and retweeting our stuff and our case studies and promoting us. So we kind of, I feel like, in that way, they were really good cheerleaders for what you're doing, which is really amazing to have on the inside. So I think that's probably all I want to say around the alignment piece. Do stop me, Ruth or Sarah, if I'm rabbiting on.
I think it's all really useful. We can move to some questions in a little bit, but if you want to finish off too, but that's absolutely fine.
All right, brilliant. Okay, good. So the second bit is ambition. So the second A is really the mindset shift that we had as a result of going on this program. We had a bit of an identity crisis, and I remember really vividly one of the navigator sessions with Yasmin, where I was going, oh yeah, but you're talking about us like we're a digital tech company, but we're not really, are we? Because, you know, we're a transformation company that does this. And Yasmin said, but you're a health systems impact company. And she really helped us sort of elevate and understand how we articulate ourselves and our service. And that ambition has really translated to the point where we secured a national contract with the Accelerated Access Collaborative. You know, we had our navigators joining our initial meetings, so that credibility is there. We had our navigators helping us with our proposal, even other partners reviewing our proposals, reviewing our pitches. And it was just that sense that we can go for a national contract. And our solution is now getting deployed to 21 primary care networks to a population of 1.5 million. So it's a major coup for us. And we couldn't really have imagined or conceived that that would be possible, I think. But it is that belief and that ambition. On top of that, we are now looking at global expansion, which again, we wouldn't have even considered. We got included through the the Department of Industry and Trade's digital playbook. So we're now one of, I think, 300 or so tech solutions that are being promoted by the Department of Industry and Trade. And we even went to Arab Health this January. So again, that came from, so the gift keeps giving. So even though we've left the program now, we were able to attend Arab Health as one of the UK pavilion and UK sort of companies, the cohort that was going out there as having game-changing solutions, which was great for us. There's a lot of support from DIT that comes as a result of being that digital playbook as well. And some of this is more than just badges. It's actually the credibility, the focus it gives you, and the connections that it gives you, because you wouldn't be having those levels of conversations otherwise. So yeah, that's probably the key thing around ambition. So we are looking now, you know, a year or so on, at working with like the ministry out in the UAE, for example. So that's pretty impressive. The other thing I'll say around ambition is one of the meetings that we had, the quarterly meetings, as I mentioned, was at Microsoft, and we ended up making connections there. We were just about to go on a particular cloud-based approach, and we ended up realizing that for our solution, and for the fact that we are working with pharma and we're working with sort of health systems, that actually we should be looking at trying to get onto the Microsoft marketplace. And so actually having that support, we ended up getting a lot of support from Microsoft since and even now to this day. So we're just about to go onto the marketplace as a result, which is great for us. That means that companies can use them with their, you know, Azure pre-committed spend. So that's quite a good angle for us from a proposition perspective as well. So yeah, again, the total ambition game changer for us. And then finally, there's the acceleration piece. So the acceleration from us, which is quite apt because it is an accelerator program, was that we did double our revenues last year. Some of that was through the accelerator program, not all of it, but I do think that the mindset piece was really important for that. We grew our workforce by 160%, and we have created a version 2 of our platform. So again, we probably wouldn't have felt like we had the investment or we had the belief in our product, perhaps. So we've invested quite heavily this, at the end of last year and this year, to the point where we have got it now on going onto the Microsoft Marketplace. So that acceleration, I think, is just going to keep going, which is great for us. We're also really cheeky and we just keep contacting everybody. We've had meetings with Sarah and our navigators, and we just are, we've made such great connections from all the partners that we'll just not hesitate reaching out and asking, could you help me with this? Or could you put us in contact with those guys? Because that's what the whole team is there to do. They really are supportive, not just for the duration of the program, but beyond. So I think that's probably all I wanted to say. I hope that I've conveyed the benefits of investing in a program like this, and actually what it looks like from a day-to-day perspective. But I'll pass on to you now, Sarah, to ask any questions.
Thank you so much, Tiba. That was wonderful to hear kind of the breadth and the kind of the detail that you've taken out of the program. It's really, really inspiring, hopefully, to hear all of that. But I did have a question that I was thinking I was going to ask you as you were going through, but actually you've covered that. So it's great to hear sort of the things that you got out of being on the program that you wouldn't have been able to do without us. So yeah, thank you so much for thinking of preempting my question. There have been a few questions that have come through in the chat, which we'll come to in a moment. Just conscious that I hadn't introduced myself, although I popped on screen right at the beginning. So I'm Ruth Bradbury. I'm Senior Navigator with DigitalHealth.London. So I head up the team that Lewis works in as one of the navigators. And again, as Lewis talked about, I've got a clinical background as well as a speech and language therapist and worked in the NHS for many years. So yeah, and have worked with DigitalHealth.London for about the last three and a half years nearly now. So yeah, I bring a lot of experience to what we deliver on the accelerator program. So what I'll do is I'll pick up some of the questions that are in the chat already, but please do put more questions in the chat, or if you want to pop your hand up, hopefully I'll be able to either see that on the screen or one of my team will flag that to me, and then we'll kick off. So we had a first question from Esther. Esther, I don't know if you want to come on screen and ask your question. It's really nice often just to get that interaction with our attendees.
Sure, no problem. My name is Esther Lievert. I'm attending from Amsterdam, working at Lucie Health Tech. Yeah, I have a question on joining the program and also the participants. I think I read that there was, the board of directors could join. Could you tell a bit more about, is it 1 or 2 people, and what roles or functions are kind of allowed to join?
Can I pass this one over to you, Sarah?
You can. One thing about our program is that we are inclusive of the team. We actually, because it's quite a broad program, if you have a wider team, then you may find that actually your comms would benefit from working with the comms team. Your director might be specific meetings and specific sessions. It may well be that your program manager, whatever your members of staff are, it is a company that joins the program. Having said that, what we do say is that we like to work with 2 people together, or 1 or 2 people as our main contact, because otherwise we've often found if we tend to speak via Slack and things like that, if you have several people on there, everybody thinks it's everybody else who's answering the question or who will deal with it. So I would definitely say give us whoever does the application form, that's one thing, but it will be the whole team that can come onto the program. But make sure you have a couple of people who actually have the time to be able to do the liaising between the company and the program. Does that answer?
Perfect. Yes, thank you.
I think that answer was also reinforced by what Tiba said as well, thinking about, you'd identified 2 people within the business to be that sort of touch point. And I know now that there are other people as well within the company who still have interaction with us. So it's great to see that broadening out. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you, Esther. We have a question from Narayanan. Hopefully I've said your name correctly. If you're able to come on screen, if you want to ask your question. If not, I'm happy to read it out. Perhaps I'll start by reading out the question.
You're on mute. I can see you speaking, but you're on mute.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm muting.
Thank you. And I can't see you, so sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Thank you for that, Ruth. As I mentioned, a friend and myself are working on a prototype, an idea really around using analytics and machine learning, etc., to improve upon some of the monitoring signals that come up on the bedside through all of the sensors, etc. So a prerequisite, I think, to kind of take this forward in a coherent manner is to engage with practitioners in the NHS service provider space, in the hospital, for example, get their inputs as to what works for them in a workshop mode or some such engagement mode, and then develop a proof of concept to demonstrate the idea. Now, we haven't begun any kind of engagement yet because we don't know the way into the organization. But I think it's a vital prerequisite before we can start committing bigger funding to kind of then build pilots and build a product and then go on to pilot that product down the line. So where do you think, would it be feasible, for example, for us to, get a foot in the door or become part of the program at this very early stage, or is that piloting a 12-month piloting a prerequisite for us to get through the door?
I'm going to ask Sarah to pick up on this one again. I think it's a good question for her.
It's not a prerequisite to have a 1-year pilot for the program for us as a start. What I would say in your particular case, and please far be it from me to say don't apply. However, I think in your particular case, I think that the chances of you scoring highly against others may be quite difficult to prove because you're still at quite a conceptual stage. However, what I would suggest is there are other parts of the program, and certainly we are very happy to get you involved with some of our innovation exchange and some of our other parts of the program. Maybe start with our 1-hour session with one of our teams from the Health Innovation Network to go through, okay, what other options are there within the area you work at the moment, and perhaps do a bit of exploring at that stage. We also have within the DigitalHealth.London family something called the Launchpad, and that's at the stage when you've got a little bit more of an idea and you're looking to launch a new product, and we can support through a short sort of 12-week program to actually help you with the next step before you get to accelerator stage, which, as the program is now sort of 6 years down the line, tends to have companies who are have a little bit more traction than perhaps before. So please don't let me put you off from utilising some of the opportunities there are within the greater parts of the programme, but I would suggest at the moment maybe contact us via the DigitalHealth.London website. There's an Ask Me question, and we can reach out and give you details of those other parts to the programme. Is that all right?
That's very helpful. Thank you very much.
Right, the questions are coming in thick and fast now, and I can see Andrew Cowan has his hand up as well. So maybe if I can come to you, Andrew, and then we'll whiz through some of the questions that are in the chat. Over to you, Andrew.
Hi, thank you. Really exciting, and a lot of the things that that Tiba mentioned, I've actually worked with sort of Beyond when we were at the Health Foundry. But anyway, moving forward, we have a precision instrument that essentially, with a focus on infants 0 to 24 months, it's generic. It can listen, it can upload the vital sign data to a clinician. A clinician can hear and listen to the infant's lungs and heart. They can also see and talk to the patient all in 24/7 real time, anywhere in the world. To get to the infant device, we have to develop the adult device to test the technology before we miniaturize it. So without embarrassing myself too much, I'm somewhat half schizophrenic, because we've just made a smart application that's totally focused on adult. I also believe that it's a one product, multifunction, so that parents can use it on their infants, the healthy infants, but also the same device, given a 2B class classification, can also be used by medical. So we bridge the gap between the parent and the home, the primary and the secondary care. I am struggling, and I literally was about to reply to your email, because I'm saying, are we at the right stage for you guys, for us to participate? We've got investors, we've got a product that's being looked at, and data analysis, but I'm struggling to get the right level of contact and also health economics to validate just one vertical market sector around bronchiolitis, which affects 1 in 3 infants. We do have traction. We applied for a biocatalyst grant. We got 70%, which is not good enough. Classically failing on the value proposition and the health economics supporting it, and the deployment within in the way a commissioner would apply the device to get it into the community. All of those things, despite considerable effort on my part, working with all sorts of universities, Nottingham Trent Hospital, etc., I just cannot, and also London University, I cannot get the traction. We recently were invited to Imperial, so we're working with a specific professor around sepsis who's interested, but again, we're just not getting the traction.
So Andrew, can I just jump in at that point there? I'm just thinking it sounds as though we need to kind of, the response to that question from our side of things is thinking about stage of business and stage of kind of development of your product.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, Sarah, maybe Lewis, you want to come in and say a little bit about kind of what the typical stage we kind of look at. We've obviously heard about the proof of concept, that's a bit too early. I wonder if the two of you want to say a little bit about the type of offer, the types of things we're doing on the programme and how that could support.
From my side of things, absolutely. I think you're at the right level and the right sort of stage to gain from some support that we can give. I think that it is certainly worth putting in an application form, certainly. Did you say you were also part of the Health Foundry? Sign up for one of their innovation clinics as well.
Yeah, we were part of the Health Foundry. I approached the Evelina ward. I got so far, and then it all went dead. And I think that was probably because we just didn't have, it was too early for us. That's actually where I met Soar Beyond, by the way.
I think that your explanation of the complexities that are out there, even when you've actually got an established product that is, or a product that is built, is quite understandable at the moment. It does take its crazy amount. So yes, I will be quick, Ruth. I'm very aware that, sorry, we want to get through some questions.
Well,
I'll go back to Lewis, but to see if there's anything extra he would like to add.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah, and thanks, Andrew. Yeah, look, it's a common problem. There's a lot of great products out there, as I said, but you've got to see how it fits into the wider system. The NHS is really complex, and finding who has value to this, not just that it delivers great results for patients, but who is going to get value from this. Is it going to make someone's life easier, or what is a real no-no if it makes someone's life harder, even if it makes that? So these are the sort of things we work on, and it's a reason for having the accelerator program.
The caption is assurance, whether and when to worry. That's it, finished. I don't need to say any more. And yet trying to get that across and trying to get the evidence around different vertical pathways and remodeling those pathways based on the intervention is a considerable challenge. I am seriously encouraged by Sarah's comment. I will apply, even though I didn't think we were maybe too early. But I think we need guidance and support.
That sounds like that fits the bill.
Absolutely.
Really yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate your question. Thank you.
Really appreciate it too. All the best.
I'm going to pick out a few questions in the chat that are sort of a bit more practical based, and I think we'll probably be able to sort of answer those quite easily. So Esther's asked about whether there's any official requirements, or she's termed it as being attached to London, but I'm taking that in terms of being based in London. So there isn't a specific requirement for companies to be based in London, could be registered across the UK, anywhere in the UK, or even internationally. I suppose the key thing about our programme is that we are focused on the NHS in London. So it's about a commitment to kind of doing business in London. And in the past, we have had more of a requirement for companies to be based in London, but that's not necessarily an eligibility kind of criteria piece. So hopefully that's answered that question for you, Esther. Kathleen has also asked about she's already receiving guidance from Innovate UK. So can a company also be on the accelerator programme? So I would just add that we have companies who are maybe on multiple sort of accelerator or incubator type programmes at any one time. It's not an issue from our perspective. I suppose the only thing that you would need to be aware of is the time commitment. And again, is that something that you can manage within the capacity of your business? So that's just a sort of a key thing to, I guess, an internal decision to make there.
Only one other thing, Ruth, sorry about that. Just
go
related to, in the application, there will be a question related to the amount of what used to be state aid, but is now something different, but the amount of money that you have received in terms of grants, because there are legal requirements as to the maximum amount you can have. Just be aware of that. Yeah, good point. Thanks, Sarah, for picking that one up. Thank you. I'm just looking at the questions here. There's a question about the common mistakes that applicants make that Alan has popped in the chat. I'm just thinking, Lewis, do you think you might be able to sort of give us a little bit of feedback on common mistakes that you've seen applicants make in their application form?
Yeah, absolutely. I can give my perspective really quickly, and it's more a sort of a general thought around digital innovation as well, really. We do have good networks at Digital Health, but it's not all about just making introductions, and some people will sit there and say, oh yes, I just want to be introduced to A, B, C, and D, and that as soon as they pick it up and they see my innovation, then everyone's going to love it and it's just going to be taking over. It's not just that. If people aren't picking things up, there's usually good reasons behind it. So introductions and working with you to find the right people are certainly part of Digital Health London, but it's not just introductions. It's working on finding who is the right value, getting the evidence behind your product, how to speak to the NHS and everything like that. So I think that would be one of my common mistakes anyway.
Right. Thanks, Lewis. I'm going to direct a question to Tiba, if I may. Wesley's asked a question in the chat, Tiba, saying how it sounds that your plans changed quite significantly during the programme. So would you say the programme became more focused on helping startups navigate their own internal strategy, or moving forward with the strategy that you already had in place? How did we kind of approach you, or how did you approach us?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it challenges your strategy. That's probably the best response to that. You can have a strategy, but actually, until you get that guidance and that expertise and the challenge, we ended up pivoting, and actually we got the success that we needed to, in that we had a short space of time. We needed to prove the worth of our solution. And so we pivoted to transformation, but we're now back to our original strategy because we've proven it. We've got our NIHR, we've got the proof of concept there, and now we can go back. So we needed a short-term approach to it in order to scale up. So I think it's probably, if you're fixed and you put a lot of thought into your strategy, I'm not going to say that yours is naturally going to change, but I think you have to go in with an open mind and a willingness to listen and to take on the advice. If you're not, then probably shouldn't bother investing your time on it. So we did, and it was really helpful, and it got us to where we are now, I think.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tiba. There are a few different questions. I'm jumping around a little bit. Just to say, if we don't answer your question in this session, I'm assuming we have people's email details from sign up, so we'll be able to then respond to you directly with an email. So just to say, in case I don't get to answer everyone's questions, we had a question in here that was around if the company has a different strand to their business, but they only want to focus on one area for the accelerator program, is that possible? So Sarah, do you want to pick up on that question? How do we kind of manage that side of things?
Yes, you absolutely can apply, so long as your business still meets the requirements of being a small and medium-sized enterprise. So with the rules of less than 250 and the financial rules associated with it. If you are a small and medium-sized enterprise, yes, by all means come with a part of the business should you wish to do so. Brilliant.
That sounds good. And just looking.
I did notice another one, if I can.
Yeah, go for it.
That mentioned about the fact of if applied before, can you apply again? Yeah. Absolutely, and I would actively encourage you to. I think if anybody's been through a part of the process, you've probably learned something anyway. But also, there are so many companies that come back to me after they've sort of been on the program, saying to me, I was turned down on the first time or turned down on the first and the second time, but actually when we got there it was the right time for us. So please, by all means, if your development of your company and your product is at the stage now where you feel it's right to do so, please by all means put that in.
I'm going to, given the time, I'm going to probably just pick one more question, and I'm going to pass this back to Tiba if I can. It was around how companies interact with each other, sort of what we set up to do that, what you might set up to do that, and I guess, you know, thinking about the benefits that you've gained from that.
Yeah, I think, again, I hadn't really appreciated how much benefit we'd have, because there's the sort of formal learning with your sort of navigator groups, like you'll sit on the tables and you'll kind of understand what they do. And you might, you know, I remember running a masterclass on selling to pharma, for example, because that's something that we do as a core business, but which is quite useful to other companies. So there's a lot of sharing of expertise that goes on between companies around strategy. There were some other companies ran pricing sessions for us. That was really helpful. So we're learning from people who are walking the talk. Yeah, so is that enough in terms of the...
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. I suppose the thing you did mention earlier are networking days that we ran every 2 months. But again, they were a great opportunity for all of the companies to kind of be together face to face and sort of, you know, form those relationships and have those conversations that you wouldn't ordinarily have had. So
yeah, and actually you just reminded me, we've ended up taking on one of the solutions in-house that was on the program. So we commissioned that, so Fika for Wellbeing, for example. And we've ended up having quite a lot of sort of whiteboarding sessions, and we got to the stage of nearly putting a grant application in with another company that was on the cohort as well. So I think there's loads of scope for it. There's also lots of informal networking and wine, which helps creative pieces, I think.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to draw this question and answer session to a close. I appreciate that there are still various different questions coming in. Hopefully the areas that we've covered this afternoon have gone some way to answering those questions, even if you didn't get to ask or your specific question wasn't answered, but we can follow up afterwards and make sure we've got the right information going out to you. Thank you so much, and thank you for your interaction on the chat, really appreciate it, and thanks for those who came on screen. I'm going to hand back to Sarah now to close off the session.
Thank you very much, Ruth. So thank you to the panelists and for those who've spoken to you from the team today. I appreciate your input. And Tiba, thank you so much. I'm so glad you had such a positive experience with you, and thank you for letting us hear it today. As I said at the beginning, the applications are now open. Now they're going to close on the 3rd of April. And I would like to personally encourage any of you who believe you can tackle those current changes that are going on or challenges even that are going on in the NHS to apply. I also want to highlight that DigitalHealth.London is passionate about that importance of diversity and inclusion. for the long-term success of the NHS. So I would specifically say that we would like to work to ensure that innovators from diverse and minority backgrounds apply to the programme and have the opportunities as well. I hope you found this session helpful. As I said, it's been recorded, so we will be sharing it. Please do visit our website for more information about the accelerator, or if there's any further questions that come up. You've also got the frequently asked questions on our website. Please don't forget to use those. There's also a really good top tips video on how to fill out an accelerator application form. Please, please, please look at that. It's a few minutes of your time which will make such a difference when you look at how you can fill out the application. And it is more likely to be successful in our conversations through to the different parts of the process. It is a hard process, and it is going to be a well-fought competition this year. We have a lot more applications than we have places. There are only 20 places. So having said that, I really look forward to the 20 of you that we may well be working with next year. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I wish you all the best.